Alright, hello everyone. Thanks for sticking it out. We've got a few players hopefully seeing our Wookiee pilot very soon. But we will begin here just as soon as I get Kel, Sumi, and Namak back from his quick break. Excited to play tonight. We've got pretty exciting time, specifically having the crew of the Gomorrah traveling across the galaxy to Kashyyyk. On the way, they're going to try to gather allies and knowledge about the planet and, of course, what the Dark Force prophetess Merrily is doing there. Once they arrive, Merrily will likely send her own regards. She has a gift of future sight and will be using it in order to potentially harangue and intercept the party, but we'll have to see how that goes. They've got a couple options to get around it, but I don't know if they're going to take it. So I'm excited to have you here on the Star Wars Sunday, and we're going to get right into it. Just a brief moment. Yeah, 4 and 2, a decent enough spread. Maybe Bro can bring some in. But I'll just have to be very liberal in the upgrades, I guess, as we start. So I think it might be proper to to start with like a little bit of a summary, just because last week was a little bit of a turning point yet again in sort of the plot, you know. In essence, y'all, though you'd had returned the curator, one of the holocron gatekeepers, to the Dawn Temple, you'd found that it was damaged. And not only that, but it was siphoning the Darkside power from the caves of light and shadow, building up to some thing or another, some consequence, right? And so this meditation, this seance occurred in order to stop that from happening and prevent whatever nefarious consequence awaited. But it wasn't enough. And after 10 days, the explosion sort of rippled out of the holocron, damaging it further, potentially even sealing it for good. The only option that you had was to for Kel to really go to the Caves of Light and Dark themselves, which he did with the crew of the Gomorrah, who swooped in on the G-Trox 720 light freighter, and the four of you headed to those Caves of Light and Shadow, where you found, right, a few major points. First, the holocron was drawing power from the Caves of Light and Shadow that had been corrupted yet again, since Kel has previously cleansed them. They were being corrupted by two Wookiees, the corpses of which still remained in the caves. Those Wookiees, it seemed, through visions that Kel received, were led there simply to give up on life and die in those caves by some sort of mind control powers, whatever they may be. Not only that, but it was sort of to produce the corruption and then designed to augment the corruption while the holocron siphoned it away, right? Kel also had a vision. Was it there or was it somewhere else? I can't truly remember. Sometime around now, or then, Kel also had a vision of two armies, or was it Elaiza and Eeth that did? I can't remember. Do you remember, Kel?
Sorry, what's that?
Do you remember who had the vision of the two armies fighting each other?
I think it was Eeth.
Okay, yeah, exactly. So it wasn't. So you had the vision of how those Wookiees got there, and then Eeth and Elaiza, right, had that shared vision. Sure. Excellent. And so their vision was of these two armies clashing, right? And one of these Wookiees that were similarly dead in the eyes as were the ones that had been led into the caves of light and shadow. And on the other side, you had Teresia leading these augmented zombies of her own. And so this shadowy figure that led the mind-controlled Wookiees was revealed to you as Merrily. And this Darkside prophetess was also the Emperor's eyes and was a failed student of Elaiza herself. And so now the crew of the Gomorrah and Elaiza are blasting over towards Kashyyyk because that's where these battles are happening, and of course is on the Wookiee homeworld. And that was what their vision revealed with the forested background for these massive battles. Does that make sense to everybody? Sort of ringing bells here? Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome. So long as there are no real questions, then we are going to begin on column X, which is the where the arrow is pointing to, and underneath that first blip here, you can sort of see it there. And so column X is a trade route planet where the Gomorrah has been many times on her travels. And it's going to be sort of early morning, the day after you secured the Caves of Light and Shadow. So let's see, anybody's got any heals used? No. Let's remove everybody's strain. Telly, you will also, of course, have rested, so your wound goes away. Did anybody have any critical hits to heal?
I think it was maybe Tarkaza that had some criticals, or Kel.
I didn't see any on Tarkaza.
Unless we got those taken care of already.
I had one, but you healed it.
Oh, okay.
Cool. So then that's fair. So, it's only a few hours from Spitnir along the Arden Cross route, hyperspace lane to Column X, and it isn't too, rough of a shot there. And so you easily arrive in queue and out of the Lagrange point, spending a half an hour to get down to the planet. If you'll remember, we've sort of agreed that Column X would be a good stopover point for which Bo can have Tarkaza reach out to his furballs and potentially do some investigation on what the situation is on Kashyyyk, as well as Telly, can utilize the dead drop that she set here previously in order to make sure that the rebellion is abreast of everything going on, right?
Yeah, if I remember there was some timing that we figured out last time. I don't know if we were gonna stay here a while or if I was gonna send information ahead of time. There was some timing thing we figured out last time.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, you were gonna send the message in front of us, and then by the time we pass by, they should have an answer.
That sounds correct.
That sounds like a very good plan. Okay. So it's, I want to say about 6 hours, simply because the Arden Cross hyperspace lane is so, infrequently used and unmaintained. It takes quite a while to get from Spitnir to Carlomex, giving time for the rebellion to respond. Telly, think about what, if anything, you're telling them and what sort of questions you might be asking, and let me know what those are in a moment whenever you think of them. And then for the rest of everyone, this is your time as the Gomorrah sets down onto the near total urban expanse of Colomex the planet through system, noting the sparse Imperial presence, as it is an independent system for the time being, and setting down on one of its numerous spaceports, allowing the crew to sort of spend the time like we described before. So if Kel or Fen, you've got anything to do, great, now's your time. If not, maybe we'll do some of that investigation onto the situation of Kashyyyk ourselves. So, Telly, do you have any, what are you sort of telling them, and then what questions are you trying to get a response to as you arrive on Colomax?
If anyone remembers specifically what we were talking about last time, there was a reason why we needed a response, and I don't remember if it was a rendezvous point or something along those lines, but there was something I was supposed to convey to them, which was more about like the holocron tech. And then there was some sort of response we were seeking. I just can't. Looking at my notes. If anyone else remembers, let me know.
Yep. Well, and so long as if we don't, we can always move to do something about it later. So, what do you have ideas for now?
Did you say
I
this
think
planet was fairly safe?
Yeah, relatively. I would say so. What was that, Casey?
it was having something to do with the planet, the Wiki planet, with like if there is any resources available there, or gosh, I should have taken better notes. My bad.
Was it like we're sending information because she wanted some backup because we're going after I forgot her name, ISB agent.
Yeah, Teresia. Sure. So, I mean, that's perfectly fine. So, what do you tell them, Telly?
Sure, I'll pass along information. I think that there was specific data packages about Teresa, and also the holocrons that I was passing along to them. And request. I guess I'll request backup to meet us if there's any way we can either get a weapons drop or some sort of backup there. That would be excellent from the rebellion.
The response would come just as you arrive on Column X and go pretty quickly And Telly would pretty quickly we discovered that the rebellion is otherwise sort of engaged. The best Ota can respond with is that Captain Malmet will be in the area on operations near the mid rim and close enough to Kashyyyk should the group need an emergency evacuation.
Telly would share that information with the crew and just kind of let them know that there seems to be other moves happening within our system, and so just to know that there's political intrigue happening at the same time here. It could help or hurt us, but it's happening.
Awesome. And so, any ideas for Fen and Kel here to spend a brief moment on Column X, preparing in any way they may?
Yeah, Fen needs to go get more stim packs. She's down to 1.
Sure, fair enough. Kel, what about you?
This thing not on again. Kel will escort Fen shopping.
Do some investigation on Kashyyyk and Merrily for whatever you could find out about her, if anything.
I mean, I can try.
We're not very good at investigations. We're more better at blowing stuff up.
Sometimes not
Yep.
even
Sometimes not even that.
that. Well,
Oh
Telly, do
yeah.
you want to help this process? Sorry, Jacob, what were you saying?
Oh, I was just gonna say that we could also take a stop by Fen's home planet. It's just a short wait on Chad.
Sure. There's if there's a reason to, like, absolutely you could.
Not particularly, but we maybe could probably set up like a safe house there. I
Sure.
don't think we'd need one if we. No, I don't think so. No.
Fair. So what about this? You certainly want to find out more than you have no idea what's going on beyond some force visions that you've received, right? So you can blast over on the Gomorrah straight away into Kashyyyk and whatever happens, happens. But if you don't want to do that, now would be your time to spend some amount of time before you get to the hyperspace routes doing so, right? Before you lose all connection and access to the holonet. So, Telly, if you want to do something and then have Cal assist you, that's great.
I. What do you mean do something to the holonet?
I mean, investigate Kashyyyk, right?
Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah, I guess I'll do some. Can I do some research and just kind of probe around the holonet with a focus on like specific keywords that indicate movement or change?
what skill would you be using? That. Yeah, you can absolutely do that. Where you need to know the skill.
I was just thinking computers.
Awesome. And so, if that's your plan, if that's Telly's plan, what would Kel's plan be to assist her?
I think Fen would be better helping her with a computers check.
I mean, you could try your leadership and just direct her to the links.
Yeah, Telly's not feeling very inspired on how to do this research, so if Kel wants to give her direction, she'd gladly take it.
Sure thing.
Very good. Oh, no, my screen's keep up. Tell us how that ends up working, Kel. You're probably going to take some strain.
So it's frustrating to Kel trying to use the HoloNet when it's not his forte. But does seem to actually help by pointing out some things that help guide Telly to get some information.
Absolutely. And so, Telly, you're going to get a boost die from Kel here. And like you said, you're searching the HoloNet mostly for changes. And you can roll your computers with a hard and a boost. And then tell us sort of particularly what the results look like, and I'll tell you what you learn.
Cool. So, Telly, through kind of listening to Cal and working as a team and that, realizes kind of what are the incorrect keywords that aren't producing any sort of insights and is able to readjust and redirect the searches and successfully finds out kind of some insight of what's happening on the ground.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say. I think he would get into Telly would get into some sort of maybe Imperial routes, not exactly coded pages on the HoloNet or coded places in the HoloNet, and not exactly encrypted, but just sort of utilizing various cleansed reports, redacted documents, and other sort of publicly facing secrets of the Empire, you find several pretty important pieces. The first, Merrily, suffers no resistance from the Wookiees. She personally terrorizes them in retribution. Of course, in contrary to using like stormtroopers and the like to do so. Specifically, she uses threats against young Wookiees, the children of um, those she's terrorizing, in order to keep the Wookiees in line. Telly then stumbles upon a document that might inspire some fear, as it's clearly not supposed to be on this part of the HoloNet. Certainly not supposed to be so easily accessible. And this document describes Marilee's forces on Kashyyyk. It's 9 Imperial garrisons, 5 Star Destroyers, 3 personal Rancors. What that might mean, Telly isn't quite sure. And she's also, of course, rumored to be able to create these ethereal wraiths of towering Wookiees several meters tall. That's what Telly learns from several diligent hours searching under Kel's leadership.
Am I the strategist on this team, or do we have someone else who kind of has thoughts about war and strategy in that way?
Well, you're more for the subtle strategist. I'm more of the explosive.
So we can find kind of a middle ground, I guess, but maybe we can lay this out on some sort of shared screen and take a look at it together.
So, that army you just listed, is that also on Kashyyyk? I guess, are they like forming a blockade of the traditional space route?
So not really. That is simply the...
I mean, with the mostly with the Star Destroyers, if we could get in close and get access to their private network, maybe put in a computer virus, slow them down, maybe destroy some of them. Well, probably not destroy, but break.
It would be nearly impossible, unfortunately. You'd have to be on the inside at that point. You'd have to be on the inside.
Can I ask, so this information comes from Imperial databases, is what you said?
Sure, yeah.
So we don't really have insight as to, like, this is like what Marilee sees of the Wookiees, not necessarily like internal strategies of Wookiees who might be looking to revolt, but just haven't like made a dent yet, I guess. Or is it safe to assume that this, like, you know, there's no resistance from the Wookiees and that she's just taking them as hostages and they don't have much defense as is kind of true for them as well as for her?
I'm sorry, what I don't really know what you're asking. Like, is she...
if there would be an underground resistance that she doesn't know about, or
I mean,
if
you didn't hear anything
this,
about it, yeah.
right? So this one, the information we got is from the Imperial side.
Yeah, I mean, sure. If that helps explain it, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you just didn't learn anything more than these facts.
suppose we can get any more information on these wraiths. Like, are they just like holograms that they're pretending to be real and just terrorizing people, or are they something physical? Okay, yeah.
So it's really hard to sort of say.
Yeah.
And maybe be, you could talk to Elaiza and Kel could do some meditation on it. Something that would probably be a better way to do it than simply asking people away. But still, it doesn't. You all aren't necessarily. The Gomorrah is not a wounded or it's not a wanted ship. It's not as if the Empire has some deep hatred for her. Or Morelli, of course, knows who you are. So there's a number of ways to avoid like the Star Destroyers in particular, with like a particularly hard astrogation check, right? To basically get past the range point, those sorts of tactics. You could try to
Spoof an ID.
Yeah, exactly. Right. All the transponder stuff that you've done there's sort of a way to get around them without engaging them, so to speak. And that might be a route that you could go to.
Okay. Next question is, how many Wookiees are there? Like, how many do we... Or I know we can only save so many unless there's, like, just a small amount of them on there.
Oh, there's probably millions on Kashyyyk, yeah. It's a fully populated planet, and the home planet of them. So yeah, quite a number.
So we couldn't just like go and rescue what I would think was just like a small work camp or prison. So it's basically she has the reign of the whole planet.
Yeah, she's the imperial governor, as it were. Yeah, exactly.
So that's kind of gets on what I was trying to talk about. It's like maybe there's some sort of social leader or political leader within the Wookiees that we could contact and bolster up with some sort of resources or connections, or I don't know. I guess that's what I was thinking is instead of just rescuing a few, we could just rescue some powerful one.
Yep, so let me cut you off there. So that's exactly what Tark's plan is to essentially do. He's contacting both his furballs, which are his companions' mercenary company, and gonna set the party up with his contacts at Kashyyyk in order to. I mean, maybe not. I don't think that was the propping up of a sort of local leader was, but he's gonna set you up with that. So those contacts are sort of being made as well. Yeah.
Okay, so we have the makings of a rebellion then.
So long as Telly just sort of does the legwork of it as well. Does Telly know a lot of Wookiee things she can sort of start practicing those sounds?
I think no. We're gonna use Tark as a translator in this situation.
Sure, fair enough.
Tark coming with, right? Speak Wookiee.
Yeah, of course. So then we are gonna move out from Column X. It is gonna be a couple of days travel, just literally about 2. And that sort of will change depending on the astrogation check, its success, its failure, etc., etc. And the difficulty of the astrogation check really depends on you all. If like I said, you were, or perhaps like Fenn's going to suggest, you like jump straight into an asteroid belt, several, planet distances away from Kashyyyk itself, right? And sort of maneuver your way stealthily into the planet itself, right? That might be a lot more difficult than simply, porting your way over to the Lagrange point and then seeing what happens when you pop into the system, right? So any ideas there?
I mean, that is a good idea, and we could just keep our presence kind of hidden until we eventually pop out, so they don't have time. Like, if they know who we are, they don't like start bolstering up areas. If they see us, just walk into one of their hangars. I guess would Tark know of like any like unused hangars we could use or ports or anything like that?
I mean, what's our big goal going to Kashyyyk?
Spaceports or hangars.
He might. Probably not unused. His knowledge of it is old. It is not very recent, and things have very likely changed since he was essentially exiled from the planet in slavery, right? So, while he might, it's just as likely that the Empire or Morales' forces, or maybe even Teresia's, could have occupied those ports. So you're gonna have to wait for him to have some sort of return and contact with these Wookiee leaders before you know much more than you do now about the state of Kashyyyk and where you can possibly land. What would you say if you did, though? Fen, how would that change your plans? You're like, what's the plan up to actually planetfall on Kashyyyk?
I would do like kind of said, like jump to a couple planets before, then like fly into real space and kind of go around, make sure we're not detected as we're entering the planet, and try to like hide the Gomorrah somewhere, so we can then like work underground to help build this resistance, and then show ourselves when they actually like overthrow the Empire.
Any corrections on that? Do you want to? Does that sound good for Fen's sort of plan to get you in system and potentially around these 5 Star Destroyers and whatever else she's got?
What are we going in there to do? Like, what's the plan? We don't seem to have one. We're just gonna bust in and run around?
Well, I mean, Fen just... Hopes aren't in just, the dregs, right? Because when he left, there wasn't this whole mind control business going on. there was just sort of the incoming imperial aggression, Morelli being installed as the governor at some point after that, right? So, now he sort of doesn't exactly know the current whereabouts of like those leaders he did know about, right? Those places where might be safe could be dangerous. And so he's sort of sending out his feelers here in Column X, and then, once, will be responded to. And so he'll have some sort of information, when he comes back, right? On where you're going to land on Kashyyyk, and then who you can talk to sort of sow that insurrection and try to get some sort of force going against Teresia, right? As far as you know, her base is here.
Okay, I actually found some of my notes. Is this the same marrow that's also known as the Eye of the Emperor? Okay, so if I remember right, if I wrote this down right, this is the same person we saw in one of these visions that was going to start causing the point of no return on the war. So I think our main goal is to stop her.
Well, I mean, yeah, but is that fair? I mean, we, all the stuff that we went through last time, yeah, that still stands. But does that sort of answer your question, though, pal?
Yep. I think Fenn's idea of, let's try and sneak in under the radar, as it were, is a good one then. Sort of like, I guess we just act like we're supposed to be there.
I wonder. Yeah, I'm curious. I'm just looking at the map, and I don't recognize any of the names of the nearby planets, but I'm wondering if there are any. I know I got a triumph with my last test. Would there be any way I could use that triumph to know if there's?
Nope.
Okay.
Yep. So that got spent. Yeah, on the information that you came from it. Absolutely. So and that's fine. So Fenn's got a plan to get us there into the system, right? And so she's got that sort of astrogation ability here, and can do it. Telly, do you want to assist with some of that planetary knowledge, though? So do you have like knowledge out of rim or something like that to throw here at some potential planets that might be, or some potential points in system that might be good for Fenn?
I haven't really spent points in knowledge yet. I have knowledge core worlds, not outer rim.
I think Kashyyyk's in the mid, and it is. So maybe that's a little too far, though. Is there another way that you want to assist?
Could I use knowledge of core worlds, since it is like right on the mid, to kind of understand what's going on right on the inside, even if it's not in that specific, donut line?
Sure, absolutely. So it is going to be. I gotta look at my notes here. It's going to be a hard. I'm going to upgrade it once, and then tell you you're going to have a setback done, since you're trying to apply some core knowledge here to the. Fenn, you'll be rolling the same difficulty, but no setback die, unless Telly gives you some bad advice here.
Does that look right, Dice? So upgraded and a setback. Exciting! I'm gonna see what I know.
Well, feel free to take a strain back for the advantage, and you're obviously giving Fenn a boost die. So how do you grant Fenn that knowledge?
Let's say that I know of a specific, I don't know what a highway, a super highway where there's a lot of trade and just kind of activity along a certain pathway from the inner worlds to the core worlds to the outer rim. And since this is kind of Kashyyyk's kind of right in the middle, it helps with navigation in that way. Just knowing that there's some standard ways of going that we could get lost in a crowd, more or less.
Awesome. And so, Fen, I see yours. Does Fen have any particular tactics that we need to note? Otherwise, you're good to go.
Not generally have anything pertaining to astrogation.
Fair enough. Plugging in the coordinates and trying to get to a safe spot in system of Kashyyyk. Go ahead.
That was just one boost die.
Yep, one boost. Yep. Well, that is a success. The advantages you can take shorter time. You can basically like jump in at a better, more advantageous spot to Kashyyyk, right? So Tarkaz is like, hey, I know of a spot on the northern continent, and you want to sort of get there with the timing of the planet's rotation, the rotation of the system itself, so that you can just sort of boost on in and make planetfall there, right? And so with those advantages, you can do something like that, or you could sort of use them to make the overall trip take less time. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's taking less time, so like seeing our coordinates planned out and maybe like just fudging it a little bit and cutting slight corners just to take off just that little bit of extra time, save our fuel cells.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. Especially with the intermediate jumps that you have to spend in real space, right? So you gotta make those, and then you make those that time more efficient, and cutting off pretty significant chunks of it down to about 32 hours instead of 48. So 24 here. We'll get them to there. 2.
So in that downtime, Fen is gonna make something to hopefully help out the. So she's not such a burden during combat. So she can finally get some revenge on the Teresa Leck and her people. Okay, that works.
I forget. Do you get the just strain for the threats, or
No, it causes something wrong with the item.
right?
With all those successes, it will only take 14 hours.
Awesome. So most of Fenn's time spent on the workbench inside the Gomorrah's engineering section. Yes, I have to. Check us out here. Okay. Alright, so the party spends a little over a day, about 32 hours, through the Permillion, traveling coreward from Column X before splitting off on a smaller trade lane towards Kashyyyk, the forested planet, where Teresia and Merrily are headquartered at. Fenn's astrogation route takes you deep inside the system, ending up very close, actually given that roll, to a large asteroid field that sort of that splits the Kashyyyk system into two distinct parts, with the homeworld of the Wookiees more interior, and the outer planets being beyond the asteroid belt. Tark navigates the Gomorrah away from the asteroid field, taking the ship towards the home planet as fast as the light freighter will go, hoping to avoid any scans or long-range patrol craft. Telly, make a computers check. It is hard difficulty, as you're on the systems of the Gomorrah, and as the ship flies away from the asteroid belt and towards Kashyyyk.
No setback.
Yep, correct. Yep. Alright, very good. The Gomorrah, pushed to her hyperdrive's limits due to Fenn's astrogation time cutting, takes a point of system strain that seems okay to continue on. Telly, the scanners of the Gomorrah begin to beep as you manipulate them. Steadily at first, and then in alarm and warning. At medium distance are two TIE fighters. Sorry, two groups of 4 TIE fighters, to be fair. That are screaming around from the edge of the asteroid field, up and around it, and towards the Gomorrah herself. We should roll vigilance or initiative. And what does Telly do once she sees the scanners?
I guess she would kind of alert the rest of the crew. Let's alert the rest of the crew, and then also head over to the gunnery seat since she knows she took on these folks last time she was in this position.
Okay. Does anybody else do something I should know about here? As Telly informs you that there are 2 groups of 4 TIE fighters racing around the asteroid belt and towards the Gomorrah.
And then she immediately just leaves to go to the gunnery seat.
Absolutely.
I guess for now, Fen could try to help with the co-piloting unless someone else is better at it. Switch spots with Telly.
Yeah, onto sort of systems.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Alright. No, this is all good. Some shuffles happen around the seats of the Gomorrah. And the scream of the TIE fighters approach. As they do, one of the groups begins to ping the Gomorrah with a message. A voice, friendly, but also with a tinge of madness and sort of quick shouting and high-pitched sort of like screeches on occasion. And she breathes pretty heavily through the comms and then says, "You were supposed to come. I always knew you would. You must have my old mentor then. So it all is happening. All that we've seen coming now. I want to know more. I want to know what time we're in, where we are. You have a choice. Those of you on this ship, you can come to my flagship, or you can die here and now, and we'll see what timeline we're on." Again, the voice sort of cracks and goes back and forth between sanity and something else. She gives you a moment to respond, and it's clear that she wants you to follow the group of TIE fighters back towards some other ship.
Guessing her old mentor is Elaiza, right? So, what does Elaiza think? Like, you think she's, like, sane enough to actually deal with?
Elaiza says the Darkside is stronger than I could have ever imagined within Merrily. While I couldn't suggest, meeting with her, I also know that it might be the best course of action given, what she's got. So she sort of, can't really say definitively either way.
Space vision, dark this, light that. Never get a straight answer out of them.
Well, she certainly wouldn't want to be responsible for delivering Kellen herself into the hands of Merrily. But, it's sort of between that, fighting or running, perhaps it is a better option than she thinks. What do y'all think between those three? I mean, does Fen want sort of one or the other? What do you think?
Like, Fen would think, like, we could probably talk our way out of this. She seems unstable enough. that we could maybe make a deal with her, like hopefully in our benefit, or at least like neutrally?
So Fenn's
Telly?
open. Go ahead, Phil.
Telly might suggest if she wants to meet, could we meet on the planet?
Oh yeah, that would have been a better idea.
Fair. So if we do meet somewhere safe, not.
Neutral.
What about you, Kel?
I'm thinking Dark needs to lose these guys in the asteroid field.
I guess that depends on how fast our ship is.
The Gomorrah does well against TIE fighters, right? Like, yeah, she can certainly escape. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it wouldn't be hard. Right.
I mean, we're definitely not going onto their Star Destroyer. That'd be suicide. And we can ask to meet on the planet, but there's still 5 Star Destroyers and 9 Legions she can bring around. So wherever we land is anywhere neutral space?
So yeah, and if so, Kel is worried about things going wrong in the negotiation and then just being on the ground. When the consequences start flying.
Yeah. I mean, just when things go bad, as they normally do, we're they know where we are, they know where we landed. Sort of, for that, might as well just land on the Star Destroyer and talk to her.
Running is possible, and given that Elaiza senses a lot of darkness coming from the comms, that might be a good option. Maybe you don't want to tangle with her. What do you Tally Fen? Convinced? Not so much. Tarkaza is ready to blast the ship away. For what it's worth.
There wasn't so many of them. I think we could have taken maybe one group of TIE fighters, maybe 2, but not with everything else around. So unless we're really competent in our diplomacy, I think maybe running would be better and try to find a safer way onto the planet.
Then it comes down to how competent do you think your talking is, Telly?
Ooh.
You make the call.
So, Telly's more of like a slippery, sly talker, not so much of a diplomatizer.
Yeah, if there's like a negotiation to be had, that's one thing. If it's just pleading with your life with a mad woman and her 3 captive rancors, it's kind of a different story.
Yep.
Okay.
So Telly could say, "Oh yeah, we'll come meet you," and and try to do a deception on her.
Yeah.
And then we would take off. That would probably be one thing I could do. I think trying to lose them, and maybe taking out. Let's have a goal of taking out at least 3 of these. Feels good.
A tactical retreat. Tully has a bloodlust for TIE fighters, it's well known.
I mean, they can explode with just a tap.
Alright, so Telly, say what you say. We'll see if you can maybe get a bit of a maneuver against these TIE fighters first.
Telly will kind of be a little bold in this communication. Maybe even call Marilee by name. "Oh, hello, Marilee. It's a pleasure to finally meet you." Kind of deal. Be like, um, a visit to the Star Destroyer is actually just what we're looking for. I trust that someone just as infamous as yourself is great company and open to discussion and um like something along those lines.
Awesome. Perfect. And do y'all just want Tarkaza to take this first round here and punch it back into the asteroid field, like Kel suggests? You are at medium range from these TIE fighters. 3 range bands away, actually. So you can go for it.
I guess. Can Fen possibly go first and like co-pilot, so like plan his route?
Yep. Yeah. So, why is Devin on here? It's really weird. Devin's the commenter. You can, Fen, if you'd like. That is fine. I don't see why not.
It just downgrades it once.
Yeah, absolutely. And so on that next turn, so Fen, you're gonna go first here. And so, what exactly does Fen do on the system's computers in order to help turn the ship around, blast it forward, and go into these asteroids?
I'd like maybe put a holographic overlay onto his Tarkaza screen, and that like directs him in the route he should take, like fly up and kind of swoop downward. It works more for planes. I'm not sure if it works in space, but to give that momentum to help him turn and like do a 180 in the air.
Is this a turn where I can start firing? Because we are obviously maneuvering away. I think so. Yeah.
So with the advanced targeting array, you get sniper shot, and that talent allows you to perform a true aim and a sniper shot maneuver. So Telly can actually do a couple of things at this distance if she would like to.
Yeah, sure. Let's do this targeting array. I don't see where it says sniper shot.
Um, in the targeting arrays link, the advanced targeting array link. But it's a gunnery, and so you'll roll it on the weapons.
With the true aim, you get a boost and an upgrade.
Yeah, and then if you take your maneuver in order to aim, you get not only the boost that you get from aiming usually, but you also get an upgrade to your skill. The TIE fighters are silhouette 3, and the Gomorrah silhouette 4, and so the difficulty is 2. Just average difficulty, just like you were shooting at something in on the ground.
So just make sure I got this right. I click the little dice next to the weapons on the vehicle tab.
Yep.
I upgrade it once. I add a boost.
In the 2 difficulty, which you got, and you are
Difficulty.
good. Yep.
Anyone care if I use a light side chit on this first shot?
Go for it. Send a message.
Oh no, it goes wide. What do you think happens, Telly? How do you think the shot misses its mark? But you do generate a number of advantages that you could use, to give somebody a boost or help give Tarkaza the ability to punch away.
Yeah, I think kind of Telly ends up going with a spray and pray, approach here. Causing a lot of distractions, some flurry of fire, and catches folks a little off guard, thinking that they were about to turn around and start maneuvering back towards the starship. So I want to give whoever's driving, I guess that's Tarkaza, a boost. Where's my the options? Is it under the starship one? I want to give him 2 boost. I'll take the other strain away at myself, but where's that sheet with the options for future reference?
The combat advantage one is in our reference in the notes. It gets a little modified for space, but it's more or less the same as it goes to boost and reducing strain as that one. So if you go into the notes,
Sure.
you'll see the
Yep,
player
I got
recipe.
it.
Yep. Awesome. Okay, cool. So then go ahead and end your turn. And the question is, Kel, do you want to take it, or do you want Tarkaza to do just that and blast away?
Go, Tark, go.
The Wookiee gives out a cry and does just that. So he's going to punch it. And in fact, he's got an ability to go even further. And I believe punch it is nope, it's a okay, but fair enough. So this turn he's going to punch it. No, it is a maneuver. Okay, great. So he's going to do the full throttle action. Very good. And make a hard piloting check. Tarkaza gives out his Wookiee cry and pushes the Gomorrah past its limits of speed. He succeeds in increasing the Gomorrah's max speed by 1, but unfortunately gives her a few systems strain. And then he will use his maneuver to punch the ship to what is now 5 speed. Sorry, 4 speed. Yeah, very good. Her max was 3, and now it is 4. The TIEs are going to do the same thing. They're going to begin to increase their speed and get up to attempting to essentially match the velocity of the G-Troc 720. TIE fighter here, and then All right, Kel. So the G-Troc that you're within lurches forward and begins to spin around towards this asteroid belt. Do you do anything in particular?
Yeah, I'm muted again. Sorry. I'm going to try and give some boost dice to, I guess, Tarkaza to get him, maybe use some leadership to try and get him some boost dice for his next maneuvers. Is that normal difficulty or hard? Yeah.
Yet. And so Kel won't have too hard time.
Excellent doing business with you. Now, please.
Although apparently Kel's a little bit nervous.
Yep. He's pointing out asteroids and telling him to just dodge lasers, but apparently Tarkaza is ignoring him. Already knows that stuff.
He's our stuff. Wave his hand at you. Sorry, water went down the wrong tube there. He sort of waves his hand at you in frustration. Do you want to use those advantage though to? I suppose you can give some boost with that.
Yeah, definitely. I'll give. Let's see. I'll give Tark a boost and Telly a boost on whatever their next actions are.
Are going speed now. The Gomorrah has turned, and we'll say sort of southeast on the map here represents the area towards the asteroid belt. We can put a little A here. And the area behind it, behind the TIE fighters here, represents wherever they wanted you to go, likely where more of Teresia's Star Destroyers lie. And so Tark blasts the Gomorrah forward, and the TIE fighters scream behind you. The Gomorrah is going speed 4, and so Tarkaza is going to have to, at the start of the round, make a piloting check with the difficulty of 4. It's going to be upgraded twice because the silhouette is a 4. So half of that is 2, and so it's upgraded twice. And he's going to compete with the TIE fighter groups. And
Should he get a boost die on that?
he's going to get a boost die from, I just forgot. Fen, how many boost die did you get him for co-piloting?
Oh, it's just decrease the difficulty by 1.
Gotcha. Okay, so that last one there. So 1 less failure, 1 less threat. Easy. Since you're co-piloting it, and then the TIE fighters, if they get more, they will decrease the range band. Oh, that's funny. Telly's probably going to blow one of these out of the sky. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So the Gomorrah is screaming away. Tarkaza, with the co-piloting of Fen, gets a failure and a threat, which is not particularly good as a couple TIE fighter bolts strike the Gomorrah's hull. The TIE fighters, in their success, are able to close a range band and be at short range from the Gomorrah. 2 away. And as they approach, though, thankfully, Tally's able to fire some shots. TIE pilot group number 2 takes some system strain as they avoid them and screech their engines even further. And then TIE pilot group number 1 gets it a spare. One of the TIE pilots arcs into the Gomorrah's turret until he takes the easy shot to destroy it. That was the wrong group. We're just going to move you over there. All right. So that's the start of every chase round. We're comparing those results to see if the Gomorrah moves away from these TIE fighters or if the TIE fighters are able to close that distance. So now, Tarkaza could do actions like increasing the speed or taking evasive maneuvers, that kind of stuff. But the only time that you can really change those raised range bands is during that first check of the turn. So who wants to go first?
Guess Darkaza can do the evasive maneuvers.
It would upgrade Telly's check. So if Telly, we got a block of 3 PCs at the start, so it may be smart for Telly to go first before Tarkaza would do that. Just as
Actually, I think I can help Telly. Which one is it? Oh, scan the enemy.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, go ahead, then. Select your turn. Make your computers check. Is that one of the ones that has a difficulty in it? I always forget.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and they're just TIE fighters. They don't have a ton. You're within the medium range of these scanners, so you're good to go.
She gets
Nice.
to pick the next critical. They roll twice, and she gets to pick, and she gets to use all 4 of those advantages as if she rolled them.
Oh, so she gets 4 automatic advantages. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then Telly, do you want to take that advantage? And how is Fen just sort of like locking on with the systems of the Gomorrah, or manipulating the advanced targeting array of the gun?
Yeah, you can do that with the advanced targeting array. Like send programming to what she can see, and feed that into the computer's programming.
Okay, very good. So then I think
Kind of like predict their movements and stuff like that.
yeah, absolutely right. So they've got a pretty obvious trajectory. They're either trying to herd you back towards what you assume her flagship is, the Star Destroyer, or they're sort of trying to block you out from actually escaping into the asteroid field. So if Fen just sort of manipulates that trajectory, she can pass that data along to Telly. Perfect. Telly, you want to take your turn here and have some shots?
Yeah, so I think I get a boost die from Kel as well.
Yep.
So I should have 3 boost die total.
You're getting 1 boost die from Cal. You're going to aim for a second boost die. You're going to get an
Yeah.
upgrade for aiming. And then Fen is giving you 4 just advantages. So the little advantage symbol on the dice tracker. And you can click it, actually, the symbol, to like just remove that one if you make a mistake.
Plus 2 difficulty? 3?
2 difficulty, and then 1 more advantage. And that looks good. We're not missing anything with that's the true aim, right? To get the aim. That increases the range even though you're within it. And then that also upgrades it. Yeah, this is good. We're good. Kel gave you one, yeah. Oh, wow.
So I guess Telly aims for an asteroid to try and kind of knock loose some debris and bonus up our. I guess would that be a defensive thing?
No,
Whatever. Well,
that's fine.
yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, that's if maybe he's flying right towards some asteroid.
Right. And so I'm hoping. Could I do 3 boost die? That's only 2 boost die with.
Yeah, so you can't give that more than once, unfortunately. You can recover strain more than once, but that's about it, right? So you can give him the 1 costing, and then the 2 costing, and then you have 2 advantage left. And with those, you might be able to give the bad guys a setback die, the ones that you fired at.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, so I'm going to break up some asteroid to kind of make our pathway more clear, and in doing so, now our TIE fighters have to maneuver around extra debris.
Awesome, very good. Okay, so if you could end your turn, and then, Kel, you want Tarkaza to continue the evasive maneuvers, trying to escape?
Yep.
Alright, so then Tarkaza is going to do just that. Engaging in invasive maneuvers, he's going to use those bits of asteroid that have been blown apart by Telly, flying in between them, diving in and out, and providing the Gomorrah with some cover. Does he want to do anything else? We should ask ourselves. Since evasive maneuvers is just a maneuver, I think that's about it. Okay, awesome. The TIE fighters are not quite in range, and so use their blasters mostly in an attempt to clear the way in front of them. Given their maneuverability, they don't have too hard of a time with this. And we're ending on Kel, just about with the Gomorrah and the TIE fighter groups inside the asteroid belt. So what's Kel doing?
Again, he's going to try and give Tark some boost dice to basically maneuver better and increase that distance.
Okay.
Yep,
let's
I'll
go
give
back.
him a boost die at least.
As you've sort of officially moved into the asteroid field at the end of the round, and the Gomorrah is now actively dodging the largest of the asteroids while simply deflecting the smaller ones with her shields. Tarkaza is entirely focused on avoiding the rocks as he can, and also escaping from the Zebedians. Oh, we have no handling. That's right. It went from -1 to 0.
Mhm.
Good. Okay. He gets a boost die from you, Kel. And could we say your sort of meditation on the light side helps him with a destiny point?
Sure. a bit of force light side insight
Yep.
sparks the Wookiee.
Centers him. Give me some good ones. Yeah, there we go.
I know we picked this Wookiee up for a reason.
Exactly. Shouts triumphantly as he boosts forward. We're going to see if these TIE pilots are able to do the same. 1, 2, 3, 4 for going speed 4. Upgraded twice because of their silhouette. They have no difficulty. Bam. That is not going to be enough for the first group to close the distance. It's not going to be enough for our second group to close the distance. And so it goes from short to medium, and Tarkaza blasts the Gomorrah even further away from the TIE pilots. Alright, so now it's the start of people's actions. Whoever wants to go first can do so.
You guys want me to try to boost Tilly's guns or Tark's piloting?
I think we're trying to get out of here. I mean, like, if you want to boost my shooting, sure, but I think our end goal is peace out.
Alright, then I'll switch back to trying to co-pilot Tarkaza.
Excellent. Yeah, Tarkaza's definitely getting an upgrade from his Triumph on his next check to go through, though. Obviously finding some sort of route through the asteroid field.
Okay, it downgrades it by 2 this time.
That's pretty good. So does it downgrade or does it remove difficulty?
It says it downgrades the difficulty by the next piloting check by 1 for each uncancelled success.
Right on, yeah. They're just, you know, so like removing it is just straight taking away the purple, and then downgrading it is only taking away
Removing the challenges.
Exactly, yeah.
Unless they're all purples, then it starts taking them away.
I don't even think it does on the downgrading. It's not supposed to. Only on upgrading it does that. It's kind of interesting. Very good though. So Fen, you're just using the nav computers. Are you just particularly engaged with the astrogation?
Yeah, I can plan out a route, but also like telling him how much the shields can take, so he can actually go through some more of the slightly larger asteroids.
Absolutely right. Taking a few bumps, but nothing too serious. So then, Telly, you want to take a pot shot quick while you're still at medium range?
Ooh, Telly kind of gets a hit there.
And she absolutely does. And is she firing at the group of 3 or the remaining group of 4?
The group of 3.
One of the TIE fighters is near disabled, but remains flying, although even a single strike from the asteroid field will surely take it out.
Can I use that advantage just to pass it on to Tarkaza as well?
Absolutely. And so Tarkaza's gonna get an advantage here. And I think, given that we're inside the asteroid field and a significant few range bands away from these TIE fighters, Tarkaza is going to ditch the evasion and try to gain the advantage against the TIE fighters, putting them in such a spot where they can't even fire, and when Telly does, she'll get a bit of advantage herself. So... That's right. Tarkaza's going to do this. It's going to be an average check since they're going the same speed. And he'll attempt to gain the advantage on one of these. Unfortunately, the TIE fighters are too nimble. And though Tarkaza does manage to slow the ship down a bit, giving her a chance to breathe and reduce some of her strain, he doesn't actually end up gaining the advantage on either of the TIE pilots. The TIE pilot groups are going to begin navigating, spending most of their energy trying to get in between the asteroids and angle their deflector shields, which they have very little, not even enough to stop a blaster shell, but enough for some of the smaller rocks and debris. And so in doing so, we're going to make that same piloting check here. Actually, forget it. It's perception. That's not going to do it. And though that one will reduce its difficulty by 1, in finding that pathway through, one of the TIE fighters takes a number of strain from those debris strikes. Alright, Kel.
Let's get going.
Let's get going, Kel says.
Don't slow down. Speed up.
And what's the threat for it? Because you're probably going to take 3 strain unless you want some other thing to happen.
No, take the strain, but basically boost Tarkaza's next attempt to get in the way and break it away from these TIE fighters. Because that's the goal.
Fair enough. Just as he gives him the leadership, Tarkaza wrenches the ship to the right, bashing Kel's head against the side of the bulk there. And the round ends. So, you gave Tarkaza a boost to Kel. Telly, you gave him 1 as well, correct?
Yeah.
And then Fen, you reduce his difficulty by 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Alright, very good. He gets a success, but again, navigating through the asteroid belt, it's definitely putting some strain onto the Gomorrah. The TIE pilot, the first of it, is receiving dark help from some outside source, manipulating their route to assist. That's not going to be enough for the TIE pilot to do much more than recover some strain on their ships. The other group of TIE pilots does much the same, trying to get through with the aid of whatever Darkside assistance they can. And this group, too, fails, and they actually arc just inside of Telly's range once again, and another one of those TIE pilots is destroyed. What was number 2? So group number 2 loses one as well. Okay. Alright. Well, the crew of the Gomorrah gets another range band away, so now we're unfortunately too far for Telly's shots. We're at long, and once you get to extreme, you're likely so far away that the Imperial TIE pilots, even with system routing of sensors can't detect where you are within the asteroid belt, and so Tarkaza can make the final escape here. So potentially one more round here as you'll move the range band to extreme on the start of the next one. And so how do people want to sort of help that, or what do they want to do instead?
Ben can continue trying to co-pilot him.
Alright, go for it, Ben. You're in the system's seat being rocked around by ever-increasing size of asteroids.
Just one this time, and just make a basic route, like trying to avoid the asteroids this time since we're so far away. I think we can get away with doing less damage to the ship and shields.
Okay, so who next? Telly, you could even try to assist maybe with a gunnery check. Still sort of using the blasters. Kelly, you could do something similar if you wanted to go before. Since Tarkaza has, nothing really to do before his turn comes up next round.
Yeah, I can do another gunnery check and see if I can clear some more debris out of our way. I would still get all of this advanced targeting and everything, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Unless Telly didn't want to use the advanced targeting. Use the focus look.
A 2 difficulty?
Yeah, let's do that. That's fine. Alright. So you think a couple boost die attack is good? And how do you think you blow apart those asteroids?
I'm just focused on reducing the size of some larger rocks that we know are too big for the shield of the Gomorrah, and so just kind of continuing to shatter already small debris.
Awesome, fair enough. On Tarkaza's turn, or just like on his initiative here, his speed would reduce since he used his full throttle ability and only lasts for a couple of rounds. So the Gomorrah sort of jerks slowly, giving him some more ability to actually maneuver through the asteroid field. Like I said, Kel, if you wanted to go, you certainly could. Tarkaza has very little to do beyond piloting around these asteroids.
And all I'm doing is giving him boost dice to do his piloting, so it's all good if he wants to go.
Alright. So he'll try to again get these asteroids between he and the Gomorrah, that is, and the TIE fighters. Gaining advantage. Actually, that would have been one more difficulty, but it doesn't matter. He's not going to be able to. They are far too nimble. TIE fighters are going to do the same, attempting...
You should have one boost dice there.
Oh, for what?
From the boost I gave him last round?
Oh, I thought you were giving it to him for his chase check at the beginning of the round.
Oh, okay. That worked then.
Yeah, he was just trying to gain the advantage. Get behind him or whatever. It wouldn't have done much. And then
Yeah, better on the chase check anyway.
Exactly right. That's right. And these guys are going to try to do what Fen is doing, basically pilot their routes through the stellar phenomena. That one's going to do a phenomenal job. I don't know if it'll make a whole lot of difference since Tark's got so much help from his buddies. And that one will do a pretty damn good job too. Okay, alright. Cal, what can you do? Try to give him as many boost die as you can.
Pretty much.
Alright.
Well, I mean, there you go. Oh, I didn't put the... I put the wrong things in, sorry.
That's fine.
I put 2 extra boost dice, not 2 difficulty.
Oh, fair. So yeah, you got 4 minus whatever you roll for 2 difficulty. So what's that? 3 successes and an advantage?
3, yeah.
Cool. And that gives him a couple boost die?
That should give him 2 boost.
2 boost die, cool. And that's a pretty successful leadership check. Is Kel sort of standing up with his hands on the couch, the acceleration couch?
Or maybe just his, tells, gives Tark that, you can do it, buddy. I know you're that good of a pilot. That's why we hired you.
And so we're going a little bit slower as the round ends. And that will help Tark a bit in reducing the difficulty. Then Cal, you're giving him 2 boost die. Casey's giving him 2 boost die for Telly's blasting the rocks. And Fen, remind me, you're downgrading twice or once this?
Just once this time.
Okay. And I'll use the light side shit with Kel's assistance. So Tarkaza takes a deep breath and is able to score a couple successes and a couple advantages in the race against these TIE pilots, who have a far easier time this round. Reduce there, yeah, can't lose the difficulty. So that one's not gonna do it. And that TIE group will. So one of the TIE groups, the first one, is unable to move forward, and so the Gomorrah moves to extreme range from them, but unfortunately the other group arcs forward and maintains a long range, stopping Tarkaza from being able to escape.
If it's just one group, I think we can take them. You guys want to try to take them out?
Tarkaza can certainly swing around, getting you close, allowing Telly the chance to maybe do some damage.
Yeah, so just wondering if I should keep helping Tarkaza or try to give some bonuses to Tilly.
Well, we lost one group, we can lose the other, yeah? If we swoop back around trying to blast one, the other one might catch up?
If you sort of drop out of the chase, right? Like, you can go back to sort of doing. It takes X amount of maneuvers to get a certain range band, right? And they're at extreme, so it would you would have a couple rounds before they caught up. But yeah, they could. You're right. But they are pretty far away at this point. So yeah, maybe Fen, you're right though. Impulse, right? You want to just keep helping Tarkaza.
Yeah, we'll just keep doing that then. Until we're completely safe, or they keep following us way beyond extreme for the other people.
Exactly right. Yeah, you're a little close to sort of turn around and try to ambush them, I suppose.
Don't get anything.
Ooh. What do you think happens there, Fen?
Maybe overuse the overlay and it kind of winks out.
Ends up being a little bit too distracting given how many asteroids are around. Flickering as it is, fair enough.
Yeah, it's just probably just a wall of green showing possible routes.
It's sort of bright as well, fair enough. Okay.
Oh, I guess I'll give the next person a boost.
Okay, great. So maybe the overlay helps. Maybe Kel likes the illumination, right? Brightens things up a little bit. Sees a little better.
Gives him better lighting on his speeches.
Exactly, right? Yeah. It lights him a little bit more from the under, gives him a little of that heroic presence. Kel, why don't you make your leadership chest?
Ooh, not good. That light was a little blinding.
Yeah.
So Tarkaz is back to ignoring me. But I will give the next person a boost die. Pass it on down the line.
Yeah, just keep passing it.
Alright, Telly. It's up to you to try to help Tarkaza in some way this round. You do have a boost die from Kel. You hear his voice through the halls of the Gomorrah. Echoing through, and it gives you a little bit of the old inspiration. So how do you want to help?
I'm looking. I feel like could I spoof some missiles from this point? Is that
There's no missiles coming at you.
I see. Okay. I was thinking it worked the other way, where I was releasing things to distract them.
Sure. I mean, yeah, you could sort of do something like that with like a mechanics check, or you know what I mean? Like you sort of encompass that idea with another sort of way to assist, yeah. But just not with that specific action, so to speak.
I mean, you could keep doing the gunnery and blast asteroids to make debris in their way.
Yeah, I think that's what's working. I could also kind of do it to try to make it look like, we disappeared or crashed. So let's just keep doing that.
That's a good idea too. Yeah.
Could I use deception for that, or is that still kind of like a gunnery thing?
No, that's fine. That's cool. That's a good idea, right? Like you've got skill with the turret itself, and Telly's thinking along the lines of trying to make it look like the Gomorrah ran into it. So she could like shout to Tarkaza or use the comms, right? Like, hey, I'm gonna blast apart this, go through it, right? Blah blah blah. And that would be a deception check for sure. You're using the guns, but it's not so much a question of whether or not you hit anything. It's more of a question of how believable it is.
So 1 boost die, 2 difficulty.
Nice. I guess we just flew by another Gomorrah that did crash into him.
Yeah, the exact same show. What do you think, Telly? You get 2 boost die, that can influence things really heavily. Like, it'll give them the mechanical bonuses, of course, but how do you think that all plays out? What do you think you find to convince the TIE pilots that you indeed blew yourselves up?
We have a crossover with a glitch in the matrix here. There's 2 of us. No, I think that there are 2 kind of asteroids careening towards each other, and through Telly kind of suggested Tarkaza, like, you gotta punch it, go through there, and then through kind of skilled shooting, she makes it look like we were in the middle of the crunch between the asteroids.
Excellent. I like it. And though you're just about out of sensor range, even with some assistance from Fen, you can tell as the Gomorrah dips through the two asteroids, the explosion ringing behind it. And once that explosion sort of fades, the viewports do not spot any of the telltale thruster signatures of the TIE fighters. And you escape.
You know what? Maybe one of these days we should maybe give the Gomorrah an overhaul again. Or maybe switch into something that's not a cargo ship.
Tarkaza's got that stub fighter y'all could hang out in.
But doesn't that only fit
not
like
all of
2 or
us.
3 people?
It'd be a little tight. There's definitely some ships that are like a step up in size, not quite capital ship, that are a little more like formidable. They're a lot slower. The Gomorrah does have some interesting pieces to it now.
I mean, if we change ships, people won't be able to know who we are.
Kel's all about the reputation.
Well, I mean, everybody seems to know the ship, so it's like maybe it'd be a good thing to, trade the Gomorrah to the Rebellion for something they have sitting around.
There you go, yeah.
Yeah, we could, if we take a couple months off, we scrap the Gomorrah and build a whole new ship.
Yep.
After this war, or avoidance of the war.
Yeah, one of the two, right? I mean, things could go right, and we get a little bit of both. You know what I mean?
What more would you want on the Gomorrah, or what are you looking for?
I think something with maybe some more speed and handling, like just so we can. Well, I guess we could go. Should we go for like more defensive or more attacking?
I don't think there's anything. Well, I mean, the Gomorrah has pretty much the most armor in its class, doesn't it?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, 5 armor is pretty significant. Then with the defense upgrades for its shields, 4 defense dive, unless they have advantage, is pretty solid. I mean, that's like you kind of almost guaranteed a failure, right? Since it's a 1 in 3 chance, you roll 4 of those. That's a lot. That's pretty good. And then with 5 armor, yeah, it's tough defensively. The handling is the only thing that's like, it handles like a giant turtle basically, where it has none.
I mean, it handles like a brick because it's a flying brick.
Yeah.
And its max speed is 3. With the full throttle, it's the 4 is a little bit stronger. The problem with the TIE fighters too is they have 3 handling, a max speed of 5. It's really hard to outrun them. They're a lot faster, and they get those bonus handling die, which present significant.
And I think that's why we usually default to just taking them out.
Yeah, because they're just paper.
Yeah,
they're fast paper.
But it's definitely like one of those things where, like, if you put them in a race, you're definitely going to notice that the Gomorrah is like not the fastest thing in the world. But with the 4 of you versus the 1 of the sort of 1 pilot each, there's like a really big inherent, because the co-piloting thing can happen if they're right there and they're just trying to do it. They can't shoot and pilot the course. They can only do one of those sorts of things, and so it becomes really hard for them to actually get close enough to fire. And then once the turn that they fire, then the very next turn they're going to have a super hard time staying with you because they're going so fast. And so if they're going speed 5, it's like difficulty 5 to close the range because of how fast they're going. There's phenomena around. So they do have, like, it's fun in chases because they have this really good chance. TIE fighters do to, like, fail miserably at their piloting check and just smash into an asteroid. Pretty much like we've seen in all the movies.
Yeah, so they fly and get a couple shots off and then they crash.
Yeah, and it actually sort of plays out like that had we been close enough for them to, be really any threat. So Tarkaza does pilot right through. The TIE fighters pull off out of the asteroid field, likely regroup, and then head back to that flagship. Tarkaza slows, probably down to about 2 speed, giving himself a lot of breathing room to get through this asteroid field as best he can. And reports that he's got a response hanging on an old Wookiee resistance holonet frequency, really. And the response is telling the Gomorrah to land near, one of the Kashyyyk forested continents, and far away from the imperial city that was built in order to house the governor, Merrily, and all of her forces and such, right? So it's fairly far away, probably 1,000 miles, right? Like, pretty significantly far away, but on the same continent. And that's the message that he's got. It does have the telltale, signature of the resistance, but he would definitely forward it to the crew to have their own examination of it as he pilots through the asteroid belt.
Guess we can give it a once over to see if it's genuine.
Sure thing. He tells you, the Resistance often use these sort of call signs and signatures, and that those are present. But obviously, Fenn can sort of look through it, maybe find some of the data behind it, and see if it's genuine. Let's do like a hard computers check, unless you're thinking something else, Fenn. Right?
No, it would probably be computers.
Sure. Yeah, let's do a hard one. Yeah.
Nope, looks fake.
I think it might just be a little bit old school. The message really is just like a text file that displays characters, and doesn't really have a lot of encryption to it. Doesn't have a lot of timestamp or like location data attached to it, right? There's just not a lot of data there for Fenn to analyze. You did get 6 advantage, though. Is there maybe something else you could glean beyond its, like, authenticity? Maybe there's some side question sort of attached.
I don't know, like, well, you said we can't get the location, like the IP address or anything like that, or I guess one thing we probably get, like, when was it sent? Like, was it sent, like, right after we escaped, or, like, we got it, like, in the middle of the fight and just now we're able to see it?
No, so, yeah, fair enough. So, the timeline is at Columexi on the 34th of second month. Tarkaza sent out the, all-space call, Tarkaza's coming back, and he's bringing the furball, so everybody get ready for it. And then this message was logged a reasonable time later to have received Tarkaza's call. And it was logged on the Kashyyyk local holonet, so that when the Gomorrah jumped in system, it would be transferred to her computer.
Ah, okay.
So the time, it lines up relatively well, yeah. it's not like it didn't come immediately after Tarkaza sent the message indicating that something fishy was happening.
Mm-hmm. It's like sent ahead of time or something like that.
Hey, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't sent during the attack on the Dawn Templar. Cool. So, given the location is known to Tarkaza, it takes a few hours to really wind the Gomorrah around the asteroid belt, back through it, and then towards Kashyyyk itself. I think it would be pretty fair to say that Telly might even stay in the gunnery seat, just in case TIE fighters come screaming out of the shadow of it. And, Fen and Kel are keeping their eyes peeled onto the scanners for the same kind of threats. But, after another few hours, none are seen, and the atmosphere of the very green and blue planet of Kashyyyk grows bigger. The orb of it, though, grows bigger and bigger until you're essentially pretty close to its gravity pull. Still, you do not see any of the 5 Star Destroyers that you know to belong to Maryland. You do see a couple system patrol craft, but they're on sensors at medium range. But these Imperial ships don't turn towards the Gomorrah as she approaches the planet. Don't make any attempts to communicate either.
Maybe those ships aren't hers.
Descending through the planet towards that northern continent, you're allowed to fly down over the vast forest, where every continent is just filled coast to coast with forests until the poles, which get, of course, extremely cold and have ice caps on them. But beyond that, you fly over an endless green sea away from the very small city towards the east of the continent, and you fly west over the vast forest, getting lower and lower until a clearing is finally in sight. Your sensors and astrogation data indicating that you're near where Tarkaza was sent. There's a clearing, fairly large, and in it there's obviously like a forest settlement. The clearing has a sort of landing pad and some rudimentary machinery for ships to do maintenance on and refuel and such. And then there seems to be this settlement high in the trees that surround the clearing itself. And there are some bridges in between them, huts, several hundred feet off of the ground. So you're at, you're at extreme distance on the planet scale. Pretty far away. Yeah, you can see, sort of the general shape of the clearing and the settlement there. Everyone make a perception check, hard difficulty, and I'm going to upgrade it 1 time.
Sorry, I'm back.
Kel, when you spot this, you feel a surge of evil energy, and it gives you some strength. Fen and Telly, if you'd like to reduce some strain for your boosts, go ahead. So what do, spotting these two Imperial walkers clearly camouflaged from overhead? You don't see anything else, but you also don't see any movement yet in the village itself.
Well, let's move in carefully.
Do you want like Tarkaza to set it down in like another sort of like smaller clearing and approach on foot, or do you want to sort of keep going but to slow down a bit?
Yeah, maybe another clearing if he can. If he can. I don't know.
Okay.
Can our scanners see if those walkers have energy signatures?
Not. You're a little bit too far away. Yeah. So scanners out to media. Oh, you know. Honestly, yeah, probably from where you are. Let's do it. So Kel suggests using the scanners to check for signatures, heat signatures, and electronic signatures. Great. Telly, Fen, either of you want to boot up the scanners and do that?
Yeah. Give it a go.
Fen I think is more equipped to do that.
Great. So what do you do, Fen? How does it look?
Try to boot up the scanners and try to like narrow it in so we get a little bit more range and penetration.
Getting through that thick forest cover and any of the sort of thermal netting that they might have on their camouflage.
What difficulty did you say?
No, none. You easily find that they are both online and sort of like in a standby mode, right, idling.
Oh, then I'll relay that saying, well, they're on, but it looks like they're waiting for something or someone. You think that message might have been a trap?
Well, or maybe the Wookiees captured these things. If they're not, if they're not engaged in waiting for us. Yeah, maybe we should set down a little distance away and try and advance on foot. What do you think?
That sounds smart.
Yeah, we try to put the Gomorrah into some cover or make some netting or makeshift camouflage with it.
Awesome. So Tarkaza finds, a few kilometers away, really, given how thick the forest of Kashyyyk is, and sets the Gomorrah down with a pretty graceful landing. The clearing is snug and obviously offers, no real chance to keep keep the system running, keep the ship running. So while Tarkaza runs the cold shutdown, maybe with Fenn's help and mechanics, Cal and Telly, if you'd like to run a stealth or some sort of deception check in order to camouflage it, you could, like Fenn suggests.
Yep. Well, Cal will try and use some stealth to be able to, I don't know, pull up foliage or whatever around the ship as much as we can.
Fair. And Telly, what about you? Same sort of deal?
Yeah, I think with my kind of disguise, deception, skullduggery kind of skills, I think I see what Kel's doing. I'm like, yeah, that's super smart. Let's get that good.
Awesome. And so no roll is necessary. Telly, your deception is 5. Kel, your stealth is a 6, basically. With your... Oh, no, it's a 5. I just can't count. I'm an idiot. It's a 5. So the difficulty to spot the Gomorrah is going to be 5 challenge die for anybody who tries to go looking for it. 5 for Telly, and then 5 upgrades for Kel.
Sweet.
Yeah, I'd say you do a pretty good job, apparently.
Okay, just make sure we don't lose it.
Exactly right. Everybody mark it down on the data pad. That does take a bit, though, for both for Tarkaza and Fenn to cold shut down the Gomorrah, but also, of course, for Kel and Telly to do such a thorough job of covering it up. On foot, the trek is going to be not difficult, but tiring, right? The trees are massive of Kashyyyk, several meters in diameter, and they of course shoot hundreds of meters into the sky, creating a thick canopy that prevents much light, and there is of course life teeming throughout the forest, rustling as you step, avoiding your steps, cawing from above, etc. Night falls, or at least the dusk happens, as you approach the settlement. We can say that you're a long range away from the clearing, and in between the 2 ATST walkers and the landing pad in the settlement, right? So you're sort of, one is to the northeast at long range, and the other one is just straight to like the northwest or the west at long range. So you're in between both of them. You could easily trek to the ATSTs. You could easily trek to the settlement and the landing pad if you wanted to. And you still don't see any movement out of either group. But with, of course, the sun falling, you likely really only have daylight to approach one or the other.
Might be good to check it out at night. How dark is it under the trees? No light at all.
Yeah, it's like quickly growing into darkness. It's dim right now, but in a few minutes, just 10, 15 minutes, it'll be dark.
Well, I don't think anybody can see in the dark, so maybe we wait till morning. What do y'all think?
Yeah, while we still have maybe some daylight, we can make a camp.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, Camp.
With no real point to having a fire, and I'm not sure that anybody has any real survival gear to speak of, right?
Not really, no.
So you're kind of just like, if Telly has a little trench coat, she's sort of rolling it up to put under her neck. Maybe the same thing
Oh,
for Cal.
I mean, we can sleep on the ship, right?
Oh, sure. Okay, you want to return to the ship.
I mean, we weren't that far away from it, were we?
No, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, you can get back. And if it's a little bit dark, you can use your data pads to find the way, right? Like it's
Yeah, a little safer stay on the ship, and
Oh yeah,
that way
I thought we were further away.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that is perfectly appropriate. And like you say, a little bit safer. So let me
I think a lot safer.
yeah. I mean, because you guys are known for it's like violent animals, but yeah, if you're like, well, we're gonna go sleep underneath those 2 Imperial walkers we spotted. What a good camp.
Yeah, because only a few kilometers to there, right?
Yeah, basically, right. Like your extreme distance, about several turns of movement, as it were.
Yeah, so maybe I don't know, maybe we walked closer and took a little survey and then came back.
I like it. I think that's fair. So for that survey, if y'all are there, you've got a couple minutes before you need to head back to the ship in order to rest. Um, what are you looking for anything in particular? Do you guys want to use any tools that you might have in your packs? Like, what are we thinking for that survey?
Now, Kelly uses binoculars and maybe see if like can we see anybody moving around, any life? Is this just is this camp as old as Tarkaza's message and it's abandoned?
Fair, cool. So using your binoculars, Cal would look towards the settlement, and he indeed would spot movement within the huts, but there are no lights on in any of them. But he sees a little bit of rustling, like the nearby branches moving, and somebody like entering one of the huts from the walkways. Stares at the dark hut for a little bit, moves his binoculars across another walkway, and he's sure of it. There's some movement in there, like people returning to their homes, Wookiees returning to their homes, large figures in the shadows, but there's no lights on from the inside.
Sorry, they maybe have no power, or they're just keeping it dark so they don't get spotted.
And Tarkaza would sort of like lowly say, like, no, they would have power out here. Like it wouldn't be so remote that they couldn't. So it would likely be the second one if they're being stealthy.
Well, then, yeah, maybe we go camp at the ship and come back in the morning and trying to greet them. Or do you all want to try and make contact now?
Uh, I would camp at the ship, but also don't know what kind of time pressure we're under. Like, I guess if like 12 hours is going to make a huge difference, we should just do it tonight. Press through. Press on.
Not that you know of. Yeah, you've got no real reason to think that the 12 hours is a make or break thing. And so it's definitely, yeah. Tarkaza would, of course, feel compelled to make contact as soon as possible, but definitely feels a little bit strange about what's going on, and wouldn't mind, the advantage of daylight.
Yeah, and then we'll head back to the ship and we can sort of discuss what our next move is and get a good night's rest.
Okay.
Yeah. Hopefully safe area now.
Yeah, well, considering it takes you an extra 5 minutes just to find the Gomorrah with her thick covering of camouflage, you can pretty much be sure that it's pretty secure for the rest. We'll have to see what that looks like here. So, Kelly, you mentioned talking strategy. You mentioned you've got an idea or another?
Well, Tarkaza knows knows Wookiees better than we do. So what would he think is the best way to approach them? I mean, we don't just want to walk into camp; we might get shot.
Yeah. So he says, as we get a little bit closer, not so much long, but a little bit shorter than that in distance, he's gonna suggest sort of keeping in a single file line, preventing any booby traps, because those will be the first thing that we'll encounter for any of the resistance camps. Just a little bit further than that, Tarkaza will make a call out, traditional Wookiee resistance call, and then any patrols that have already spotted you, or just any guards in the settlement themselves, will come out to lead you through the almost impenetrably thick field of traps that forms that second layer of defense. And that's what he knows about the Resistance hideouts, and so that's how he would sort of suggest it, right? Getting a little bit closer, making a call, and then waiting for a guide to bring you through the landmines and such. He says this. What's that?
I was going to say that sounds good.
He does it. This group of Resistance fighters is really known for their savagery against the Empire, and actually broke off from Tarkaza's furballs in the fight for Kashyyyk originally, simply because it was believed that this group was calling too much attention onto the Resistance and was, bound to just get the whole planet bombarded.
Well, hopefully that's not still the case.
Or they've gotten worse.
I mean, maybe.
So as far as the sort of watch is concerned, Fen, I remember you don't sleep very often, so you can clearly be awake through much of the night. And you guys have about 10-ish hours. You only need to sleep for about 8, most of you. So are other folks sort of up and about at later points of the night, or sort of resting? Is Fen your only watch person, etc.?
Yeah, I can do that.
And how much sleep? How much sleep
away.
does Fen need?
I think it said 2 hours.
And Kel will be up for those 2 hours to make sure that we got someone on watch during that time.
Cool. Easy peasy. Fen, a couple hours before sunrise, you head to catch some rest. Tarkaza and Telly are doing the same within the crew quarters. And Kel has just woken up, maybe do some meditation, drink some coffee, whatever his morning routine is. So, Kel, where do you think you are on the Gomorrah during the watch point?
Well, what would be the best place to look? I mean, maybe the cockpit, and I'm assuming we have there's cameras to watch around the ship.
Yeah, there's a few plus the viewport. It's not like a great, um,
Yeah, it's not great, but
spread.
it's
Yeah,
it's either that or stand on top of the ship and walk around.
sure, right, yeah. So the cockpit, fair enough, fair enough. So let's give me a perception check for difficulty.
That was just Kel, right?
That is right.
I don't spot it, but that coffee's really good.
That Column X coffee. Cal, you hear large caliber blaster fire in the distance towards the north, towards both the settlement and the walkers. Startles Cal. And just as he puts his feet on the cockpit of the the floor of the cockpit, he sees in the darkness, outside of the viewports, rustling just beyond the clearing. Branches moving, bushes parting, etc.
Yeah, we've been found, so Cal will guess sound the standard klaxon. I'm sure there's an alarm on the system in internal something or another to tell everybody that there's problems.
All right. And as everybody else awakes, they too hear the sounds of blaster fire from the distance. Could that be what Kel is calling you for?
Now y'all got to try this coffee.
Yeah. I mean, that seems weird, right? Blaster fire? Why would they be shooting at a ship instead of trying to get into it?
Well, the Gomorrah is not being rocked at all by any of it.
Oh, so there's just a battle going on nearby. Hopefully.
Target practice.
Maybe.
So Kel's going to take your companions a couple of moments to get towards the cockpit. Do you want to release the gangway or go outside, or just sort of wait for them to approach? Or sorry, wait for
I think maybe he'll head back towards where they are to sort of make it a little quicker.
Okay. And so Telly and Fen, Kel meets you with Tarkaza, rubbing sleep from his eyes. And Tarkaza's like, what's the plan? What are we doing? He's already got his Biro axe in hand.
And Kel will, relay what's going on.
Tarkaza's like, well, I guess we're defending the ship then. Starts walking towards the gangway. What does everybody else do?
Well, I'll mention, there's nothing striking the ship, so it's somewhere off that the firing's happening, so maybe we're still kind of safe in the stealth.
But there's something coming through the bushes now.
Oh, okay. Animal, maybe?
Could be maybe something running from the blaster fire, but...
Do we have floodlights? Could we light it up? Or is it already light out?
No, it's not light out. You could light it up. You do have floodlights. Of course, it would broadcast you pretty heavily if it was an animal and you hadn't been blown yet. Then that might do it. It's kind of a risky situation.
Should we try to like sneak out and see what's going on?
Yep, I think we could do that. That way, I mean, if we get spotted, we get spotted, but the Gomorrah doesn't.
Oh, so much for that idea. So we need to see who's shooting at us and which side we need to be on.
Okay. So let's roll some vigilance here. That's definitely wrong. Okay. So as mentioned, blaster fire from medium range arcs out towards Tarkaza from the left. From his left. Tarkaza holds up his vibro axe, hoping to stop some of the fire. And it ends up working. He fortunately is able to deflect it, but does end up taking a setback die from the fire. So those still on the ship of the Gomorrah are long distance away from any of these stormtrooper fire based on how far the blaster fire sounds. Tarkaza is medium and outside of the gangway in front. What do we want to do?
You gonna try to go swooping out there, Kel?
I mean, I can. But it takes, what, 2 maneuvers to get to medium from long?
Oh shoot! It does. I kind of wanted to say you were somewhere in between that. So like a maneuver to get to medium, we'll say. Maneuver to get out the gang. Because you gotta like, you're inside the ship. I really just mean like you've got to spend a maneuver to get outside of the ship and then your medium range.
Sure. Okay, then I'll go.
Awesome.
So we'll spend the maneuver to get out of the gangplank and then go rush in the stormtroopers.
Excellent. So there's these two groups of 5 stormtroopers that have just emerged from the forest edge into the clearing, all raising carbines towards Tarkaza and then now you.
Do they have any cover or defense?
This ambush was supposed to be just that, an ambush.
No, not super impressive, but it will trigger at least 1 crit and 12 damage.
Okay, so what does that look like? Obviously, you're killing 2 stormtroopers right off the bat.
So Kel hears the fire, hears the Wookiees roaring from being shot at, and runs down the gangplank in support. As soon as he gets clear from the gangplank, he just launches himself towards the group, the closest group of stormtroopers he can see, and swings his lightsaber, cutting a few in half.
Awesome. And once you're closer, it's a lot easier to see. But even in the dim, with a thick forest cover, most people are going to have... no, you're all melee. It doesn't really matter. These stormtroopers will, except for they have visors to see through the darkness. They're going to keep shooting at Tarkaza. It's dark, is my point. And the stormtroopers raise their blasters, firing towards the gangplank and the Wookiee on it. Once this 10 stops vibrating, maybe I'll get a result. Well, and they actually managed to do a hit. And getting through a couple points of Tarkaza's thick armor. Telly and Fen, both of you hear the blaster fire and see Tarkaza take a strike. What do you do?
It's just like a scratch. I think you can keep going.
I'm just trying to decide if I'm running up or not. I think I'm gonna use my blaster here and try. Can I target anything? Can I see what and get a target?
You've got to get outside of the ship in order to fire. So, with the maneuver, you can get outside of the ship, and then you could see them, yeah.
Yeah, let's do that. I have a blaster pistol. So that's what I'm gonna do. Let me come down the gangplank and ready to fire.
Excellent. And your blaster is a medium range, so you're able to fire at either group of stormtroopers you choose. It is very dim, though, so you'll have a 1 setback die.
You said only 1 setback. It's dark. I don't want to hit Tarkaza. I'm gonna shoot at the group he did not approach.
Sure. Very good. And so one of the stormtroopers takes a massive hit and nearly goes down. Finn, do you want to go after Telly steps in front of you? Do you want to see Tarkaza charge one of them. What's your thoughts?
You said it was just like a maneuver to get to the gangway, and you could still see the stormtroopers, right? I can go, and I want to, I guess, test out my new thing. Which one was not engaged? Number 2? Fenn's new device. She pulls it out, like looks like a heavy-duty rifle. Lines it up. It's 2 difficulties for medium. Let's see how it goes. No misfire, but kind of has a large kickback that she's not used to, and maybe it throws one of the stormtroopers off balance. Gives, I guess, the next person a boost die.
Awesome. And what were you doing with the advantage, sir?
Giving, I guess, Tarkaza a boost die, the next person.
Yeah, that's Tarkaza. And so Tarkaza is going to spend a maneuver, charging the group that has just been blasted a couple times, and then strike his vibro axe out at as many as he can. I'm going to use a force die. And he gets a setback die from getting shot just now. He gets a boost die from Ben. He gets a boost die from aiming. He's going to take 2 strain because he's aiming. Okay. Definitely manages a solid swing while taking just another point of strain from a blaster fire as he approaches. And that's going to be 10 wounds. And so with Telly's damage, Tarkaza swipes down the damaged stormtrooper that Telly just shot, arcs into a second stormtrooper that was full, takes another step, and then cleaves through yet a third stormtrooper before ending its round. The stormtroopers next to Kel are going to sort of like, seeing the glow of his lightsaber illuminate the forest, they definitely take quick steps away from him, trying to sort of get a little distance in between, and then they're gonna shoot, just blasting out from a short range with their rifles. They're at short. They're not going to take strain to aim. And Kel, how many defense do you have? 3, 2.
2 ranged.
2 ranged. Excellent. And they're going to fire. Ooh, they manage a pretty solid strike against the Jedi. And some of their... Oh, you're going to parry, sure.
I'm going to parry some of that yet.
Excellent. And they're just going to give a boost die to their buddies from some of the arcing fire. So let me know how many you parry.
I parry 4. I removed it already.
Okay, cool. You're good then. So just a little bit of blaster fire gets through Kel's lightsaber. All right. We've got a part. Oh, Kel, all right.
Well, let me try to give them the rest of the bad day. So since they moved away, I'll do the same thing. Sort of leaping towards them to close the distance and slashing into them. And that being multiple criticals should finish off the rest of the stormtroopers in that group. Yeah, I mean it's 3 up to 4 crits. Oh, that's right. It's 1. Yeah. All right, then I will heal a little strain and pass the next person a boost die.
Yeah, that makes sense. That way I can kind of pass on boost dice if I shoot wide. Are they further away now? Well, shit. Kelly can't see in the dark.
Yeah, exactly.
That tree just jumped in front of him, took the shot for him.
Yes. Splinters fly out from the tree that was struck. Fen, you want to try again with your gunnery rifle?
Yeah. They're still medium range, right?
Exactly. Yep, still medium range. Both you
So
and
this
Telly the
time
Game.
I can take the maneuver to aim. Okay, now this time should do something. Oh, and that's stun damage. I mean, if I knock one out, we could at least interrogate that one. Looks like Fenn's brand heavy-duty rifle. Like make it hot pink. Her brand on the side of the butt of the rifle, and kind of like a bit too big for her, but she could still manage to hold it.
Excellent. Well, it blasts out and nearly stuns one of the stormtroopers down. Tarkaza, in a Wookiee rage, steps forward and begins to cleave wildly towards the stormtroopers. And I think that'll do it. Absolutely makes a blood-bathed mess of the remaining stormtroopers. One of them, shocked a little bit, begins to convulse and then is simply hacked down into the forest by the vibrating axe of the Wookiee. sometime in the past several minutes of the ambush, the blaster fire, the heavy blaster fire from the north, stopped. And sort of an eerie silence falls over the early morning of the forest. Rustling from the direction of the stormtroopers came from can be heard again, and you ready your weapons. But instead of seeing the white armor reflecting light from the gangway in the Gomorrah, you see long fur, large shadows, covering large shadows, bowcasters and bandoliers and vibro axes. About a dozen Wookiees step out and approach. Some of them are wounded, but they still sort of stand, ready.
I guess friends of yours, Tarkaza?
Tarkaza speaks in Wookiee. The other Wookiees respond. And their conversation goes something like, "Not exactly," says the leader of the other Wookiee group. Tarkaza sort of, harumphs and steps forward. And you can tell that there's not a lot of love lost between these two. But, and certainly the other leader does not like Tarkaza very much. But they give each other a begrudging greeting once they get close. They speak for a moment before Tarkaza explains that the Empire had laid an ambush against their settlement, but they were able to fend it off. Still, the settlement is as good as destroyed as once Governor Merrily knows about a place. It's as good as destroyed.
Kel asks Tark to ask them about the walkers.
Those were a part of the attack.
Well, we can do what we can to help them find a new settlement.
Dark explains that would be good. As he didn't exactly, leave on good terms with this group, and showing them some good faith will help, ease things forward. The enemy commander has little time for Kel, Telly, or Fen, and almost exclusively regards Tarkaza. Once his Wookiee allies dispose of the stormtrooper bodies, he begins taking you back to the settlement to assist. All right. And I think that's where we'll keep it, to give Tarkin the opportunity, next session to do some stuff here.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Oh, could Ben take the time to try to help Tarkaza with that wound?
Oh, the critical hit? Yeah, absolutely.
Is it a severity 1 or 2, 3?
Yeah, sorry, I'm looking. It is 2.
I should take care of it.
Awesome. Yeah, Fen pokes around in the damaged connector between the cybernetics and Tarkaz's arm.
Cool. Thanks for the game, all. I'm going to go off and get some dinner. Hope you all have a good rest of the night.
Yeah. Thanks for the game.
Later, y'all.
Good night, everyone.
Night.
All right, everybody. I appreciate you sticking with it and watching our courageous crew of the Gomorrah get out to Kashyyyk and begin their war against Merrily, the Dark Prophetess, and Teresia. Please take a moment to appreciate all the great stuff going on. If you'd like to tune in a couple weeks when we return, I would absolutely love to see you. Everybody, I appreciate it. You have a great night.